Hi, good evening. Welcome to my daily live session on various topics for execution excellence by changing mindset and culture on in our purpose and mission of creating world-class companies and exceptional leaders. So yesterday I introduced one tool and method at random, which was a policy deployment. And let me now talk about what we are going to be doing today. So this is what I spoke about yesterday. Policy deployment is what I introduced yesterday, and that must have been interesting. You must have learned something out of that and used it in your day-to-day work. So today I speak about a different tool, which is called as Firewall. I don't know whether you heard of this tool. Firewall is what I would be talking about today. So let me now go on to the bigger size screen first, so that you can see the uh, pictorial which I am showing, and after that we can discuss. And in case any questions are there, please do write, and please do share your ideas and thoughts, and then we can speak about that. See, firewall is something which is very, what should I say, prominent in today's technology world, where you can understand a firewall is something which is preventing any hack from the outside, any worm, hack, or virus, whatever that is all getting fi- filtered in the firewall. Firewall possibly has a significance of something which will burn what is non conforming to whatever your needs are. And in the industry, when we talk about a firewall, it's all about ensuring that whatever that leaves the company is 100% in conformance to whatever the requirements were and whatever the expectations were. So, how do you go about building a firewall in a company? Is the key discussion which I would be having today. Whenever there are, I think when companies are targeting zero defect, right? Zero defect from uh, the supplies which you have done. May not be internal defects. Internal defects. There are very few companies who have achieved zero defect because of uh, almost perfection in execution, wherein the setup components also are zero defect. That means you have got always first time right and every time right, and that is because of a very good Six Sigma process, which means that even then with Six Sigma also you're talking about defects that would be 34 defects per million opportunities, but still it is very, very less compared to what one would normally think of. Whereas when it comes to customer, zero defect is absolute mandatory. I'm sure you all agree that you can't be talking about some ppm defect or percentage defect when you are going to a surgery, for example. You can't really look at telling that, look, it's okay, 2 or 3% is okay, I can still get my surgery done. That doesn't really work. Or maybe when you're flying, you expect some defects to be there in the airplane, and you say that it's okay. Or when you're traveling, that can't be thought of at all. Therefore, zero defect when you are supplying something out of your organization is something mandatory in today's world. You can't really think of anything else, especially when the customers are used to getting that quality, right? Used to really having the access to that kind of a quality. Therefore, it is important that whatever that leaves your organization leaves with zero defect. And how do you do that? Uh, Definitely, you need to have a good process wherein the process rejections also should be extremely minimal. Otherwise, the risk of letting it through is quite high. Then you build up what you can call as the PDI, pre-delivery inspection. Have you heard of that? PDI is what is more popular in the Indian context, and in the Western world, in the advanced world, there won't be any PDI as such, but in many cases there would be some kind of an audit done, and then, but still, the functional requirements, and if it is a product which has got more aesthetic sense than the functional sense, those are always inspected. They don't go without any inspection at all. The concept of telling that final product I'm not going to inspect, only do random checking, is not really very common unless the process is extremely stable. I remember in our company, we used to have some products where we would only do the calibration was not really a kind of earlier products used to be calibrated. That means you have to finally test the product and after that adjust the product to suit the end requirement. And that was called as calibration. And even in calibration, it was not very consistent. There could be some variations, and that depends on how much amount of tightening you have done in a particular screw. And after that, there would be multiple ways of sealing it. You have a sealant, or you could put a lacquer, or you put a lead seal. Multiple options are there. But then, even then, that was not very robust. Where we have been able to really get a breakthrough is when we have been able to continuously monitor the incoming quality of all the components. not in terms of whether they are within the tolerance or outside the tolerance, but in terms of statistically checking the capability of those components, statistically checking what is the total Six Sigma value of each of those components which come in. Imagine if all the components are having a Six Sigma capability. Six Sigma capability means a CP, which is capability index of 2, and CPK is capability index considering the mean. That would be 1.5. That is the Six Sigma level of quality, because in Six Sigma, though it is plus minus 2 sigma, it is understood and accepted as per the initial thoughts of Motorola, which I think is quite logical, that the process can deviate plus minus 3 sigma from the mean. And for those of you who find it Greek and Latin when I talk about mean, Six Sigma, deviation, please do write to me, dinakar@samutana.com. I would be more than happy to explain those concepts. It's a little, what should I say, advanced in terms of statistics for a layman. But for a statistician, these are really nursery topics. It's not something which is big at all. So it depends on what your background is. If you need, you can write to me. I'll explain all those things to you. There, the idea is that the process can deviate from the mean value. Mean is the central tendency where all the components should be lying. And this deviation can go up to plus minus 3 sigma. And that's the reason for a Six Sigma process, one would have a CPK of 1.5, which is lesser than the CP of 2, because of the deviation of 3 sigma from the mean. That is the basic idea of Six Sigma. Now, having said that, having explained that concept, imagine that all your components are coming in with Six Sigma quality levels, and these are assembled. When you have assembled those Six Sigma quality levels, and then you check the final product, normally, very normally, the product also would follow some kind of a very standard normal distribution. That means it says that the process is extremely natural, and only the chance causes are being in play, which means causes that cause a natural variation in nature. That's why it's called as a natural variation. Nature has variation. Can you ever think of two leaves being the same? There are always some minor variation, but you can't have a banana leaf looking like a rose leaf. That won't happen. That kind of a variation is not possible at all. And if such a variation is there, definitely there is some external influence, which could be the modification of the gene. It could be something of that kind. So therefore, if that external influence were not there, nature would always create some variation. That is why it's called as natural variation or natural causes. And if the physically measurable characteristics follow only or having only natural causes which are causing the variation, then the physical characteristics in this universe always follow a normal distribution. Again, for those of you who don't know what normal distribution is, please write to me. A normal distribution and a standard normal distribution. If there is absolutely no variation, no other external effect, then normally they follow standard normal distribution. So if the end product also has a standard normal distribution and the end product has a CP of 2 and CPK of 1.5 or more than 1.5, because the central tendency also can be guaranteed by ensuring that all the components which are getting into the assembly are all at the central value of the tolerance, or kind of an optimized value, which could be a little deviation from the center, but all the components are at the same value. There is no deviation happening. Then you have the possibility of not doing 100% inspection. There is no need for any firewall at the end of the line. So there is no need for PDI also. You just need to assemble the component and ship it out. That is very high-end manufacturing where all the processes are under extreme control. Otherwise, PDI, which is pre-delivery inspection, is quite common in industries. And when you are doing a PDI, you're actually putting a firewall there. What is a firewall? Firewall is only ensuring that those products which are not to 100% as a satisfaction of the customer would not leave the company. And when you look at the firewall, the concept is fire. Therefore, it's important that the firewall is robust. You cannot have a firewall which is again going to allow something to leak out. That is not allowed at all. Therefore, once when we say that there is a firewall, it is absolutely mandatory that both the type of errors, type 1 and type 2 errors, I'll talk about that briefly, should be very close to 0. What is a type 1 error? Type 1 error is an error when you have accepted a bad part. You have accepted a bad part. That is a type 1 error. Because of the measurement inaccuracies or because of some flaws in the system, you have accepted an actually bad part. That is type 1 error. Type 2 error is you have rejected an actually good part. a good product which has been rejected unnecessarily. That is type 2 error. These errors occur because of the measurement variation. And this variation, if it is very, very less and the measurement is extremely accurate, then there wouldn't be any type 1 or type 2 errors. Type 1 and type 2 errors extremely common in visual inspection, because I may be inspecting something and I feel that it is a good part, though it was a bad part, because my way of inspecting, my tolerance levels are different because I'm doing a visual inspection. Whereas somebody else could be rejecting a good part, considering that it's a bad part, because his level of inspection or level of tolerances could be different than mine. So this is something which is quite critical to understand. Therefore, wherever you have got visual characteristics which are extremely critical for function, extremely critical for aesthetics, extremely critical for emotional appeal, for the social appeal, then I recommend strongly in today's world to go in for a automated visual inspection, where you have a camera will check that particular feature, and after that a computer program would analyze whether it is good or bad. Why is a computer program useful? Because in that case, you're talking about breaking down the entire image into small pixels, and each pixel is then analyzed with either a dark color or a light color. They have what is called as a shadow concept, and using that, you can ensure that the measurement accuracy is almost 100%. That means if I'm checking the same part over and over again, the repeatability is excellent, and the accuracy, which is the deviation from the ideal value, is also very good, because you have a program which is running it. There is no influence of emotions, which is very, very strong in the visual inspection, which is the manual inspection. So this is something which is extremely important that you keep in mind. Pre-delivery inspection is a very, very strong way of putting a firewall in the manufacturing industry, and to ensure that the pre-delivery inspection is 100% robust. You cannot have a situation where you have a firewall but still parts go through. Then it is not a firewall. It's a fireless wall, maybe with holes. That is not acceptable. Firewall is, there is a fire. When there is something bad happens, something wrong is coming out, it gets burnt. That is the idea of the firewall. So with that, I come to the end of today's method or tool, management method or tool. Let me now talk about what am I going to do tomorrow, so that not tomorrow, sorry, on Monday, so that you have a outlook for what's going to happen on Monday. Monday, my topic is, wow, control chart. This is a little more statistics in place, but still I'll try to explain with my watermelon concept, which I spoke to you some time back, which I had used in Brazil. I'll use that and try to explain the control chart and how this works and what is the benefit of the control chart. So that would be the main activity for next week on Monday. And till then, I wish you all a very nice evening. For those of you in India, for those of you outside India, have a great day ahead, and look forward to seeing you again on Monday. In the meantime, enjoy your weekend, and the holidays are approaching now. New Year is approaching, so try to spend best time, nice time during the weekend. And maybe if you're interested, please also do shopping, etc. So all the very best, and let's meet again on Monday evening at 8:30, same time, Indian Standard Time. Thanks a lot, and goodbye.